My friends, many of you saw a video I did recently about how I live by a church, and there was a time period during December where starting at 3 a.m. they would blast Christmas music until 4:30 a.m. because the idea was they were going to wake up the entire neighborhood so they go to that 4:30 mass. And in the video, I politely went over and requested them to turn it down because I tried to explain I have to work, we're trying to sleep, and many people that watched the video were in agreement with me that it was unreasonable for them to blast music for an hour and a half in the middle of the night like that when people are trying to sleep, including a lot of Catholics even said that a church shouldn't be doing that. But as with anything, anytime you're an artist or a creator and you put something out into the world, some people are going to disagree with you. And there were some people that said that, oh, I should just accept that that's the culture and I shouldn't have said anything, that I was the one out of line for doing that. And what I would say is, first of all, it's not the culture. Many churches, most churches, whether they're in the Philippines or other countries, they don't do that. It's just this particular church. I also explained at the beginning of the video that I wasn't speaking out against all religion or all Catholicism. I'm just speaking out against that particular Catholic church because I felt what they were doing was wrong and they needed to see my side of it. And if you're talking about culture, it's not the culture of the entire Philippines, it's only that church. I do agree that if you're from another country and you go to another country, you shouldn't criticize things that they happen to do in that country that just happens to be part of their local culture. However, there are certain things that I think go beyond common sense, just like I see homeless kids everywhere in the streets. People are having babies and abandoning them in the streets. Now, I think it's okay to speak out against that. My point of view is there's nothing wrong with making a reasonable request, which it was, and also trying to explain your point of things, because I believe that if you have a problem with someone, you shouldn't just be angry and keep it inside. There could be a good solution if you just talk to that person and let them know and try and let them see things from your perspective. There's been a lot of times in my life where I've had a problem with someone, and because instead of just getting angry about it, just talking to the person about it, it worked out and the problem turned out to be a blessing in disguise. I'll give you a couple examples from my life. Years ago, I was working for someone, I had a boss, and then the night before I went to work one day, I get a text message saying, hey, you don't need to come in anymore at all. And I was disappointed because I took the job and I got to the point where I was depending on that money at that point. And I texted him back and I said, you know, you begged me to come and work for you and I rearranged my whole life to do this, and now I'm depending on getting that regular money from you and you cancel at the last minute. That's not right. I wasn't trying to be demanding. I was just telling him matter-of-factly, and I got a text message and he said, come in tomorrow for dinner, we'll talk. And then I showed up and the first thing he said, you know, I didn't see things from your point of view, I was only thinking of things from my position. And he took out a big wad of cash and he said, here's the money that you were going to make working for me for the next week. Hopefully this helps you out and gives you time to find a new gig. To me, that was an awesome deal and it really helped me out. But if I would have just stayed angry and not said anything, nothing would have came. But because we worked it out in a reasonable manner, because I brought up the problem in a nice way, I ended up getting a call from him a couple months later and he wanted to rehire me working for him. This also works really good with companies. A couple years ago, there's a restaurant that I used to frequent and go to pretty much every day, and I was spending lots of money in there. Well, one day, a manager said something to me that I considered somewhat disrespectful and rude, especially to someone that was a loyal customer. And in my head, I didn't say anything. I just thought, well, if that's how they treat a good customer, I'm done spending money here. I'm not going to come back here and eat here ever again. But then I thought, well, that's not really fair to the people that own the company because they don't know what this particular person's doing. Maybe they wouldn't agree with it. So I wrote the company an email, not trying to get the girl in trouble, not trying to complain. I was nice. And I told them what happened. I got a phone call a couple days later and they said, hey, why don't you come into one of our branches? We'll treat you a dinner and talk about the problem. And I went in, I talked to them and they said, yeah, you're not the first person actually to complain about that particular manager. But I had my laptop with me and I started showing them some of my videos and they said, you know what? Your videos are really good. I think we'd be interested in hiring you to do some promo videos for us. And I got a nice little job out of it for a little while. I had a sweet gig, all because I had a problem, but then I brought it up, not in an angry way. I just brought it to their attention, and then something that I wasn't even expecting came out of it. It was really a blessing in disguise. Now, I'm not trying to say you should extort people or find problems or complain about every little thing, but anytime you have an issue with someone, it's okay to bring it up. The Bible even says, ask and you shall receive. Now, it doesn't always work, but sometimes it's just a matter of asking the right way, not being rude, and asking the right person. If you take away anything from this video, it's that you're never out of line. Anytime you have a problem or an issue with someone, and you try and politely make them see your side of it. Don't keep things all bottled up inside and be angry, because there could be a very simple solution to it.
Be sure to check out our other videos, and if you're not yet subscribed, subscribe now.